Hello and welcome everyone. This is Doris with Blue North Crafting, and I'm sure you are surprised to see my face instead of just my hands on my project I'm working on. But I wanted to get on here and thank Carol from Crinkled Path for organizing this Secret Santa style Christmas in July swap 2024. This is Carol's second year of putting on this swap, my first year of participating. And I just want to thank you, Carol, for all the work you did in organizing this, for pairing up our Secret Santas. And I'm sure there were little things you dealt with along the way. And thank you to all of the co-hosts that are part of this swap. We had Angela from the Traveling Crafter, Bianca, BB's Closet Creations, and Sarah at New England Junk Journals, and very smart Carol for using some other addresses to try and throw us off as to who our Secret Santa is. It's really been a fun experience, and I do have to admit that initially I told Carol I had to really think about participating, and the main reason for that is I used to work in retail, and we dealt with Christmas way earlier, as all of you know, than what you normally should. And so to me, to this day, I enjoy Christmas from about, say, Halloween time frame on. And so I suppose that was my little bit of hesitation to want to participate, but I'm so glad that I jumped in. I have learned a lot about the person that I have been paired up with for Secret Santa. It has definitely had its share of challenges, which is good. Brought me out of my comfort zone as far as the likes of the individual that I am a Secret Santa with. And those of you that are not familiar with the swap, we also filled out a form with some questions on it to answer like some of our likes and maybe some of our future projects. So our Secret Santa partner did know a little bit about us. Besides, some of us have videos that they can go back and watch and maybe get ideas on some of our likes that way as well. And I would like to also thank the Canadian participants. I know that they were hoping for a bigger showing with that, but maybe next year. And so I wanted to make sure and mention them as well. And especially all of those that are participating with me, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for all of your kind comments. And just honestly, thank you for making this shy girl feel welcome. I'm not a very outspoken person. I'm a rather quiet person. So for me to get on camera and do this is a stretch, but I just feel it's important to just thank all of those involved and just know that I appreciate each and every one of you that have showed up on my channel in some way, watched or commented, and so I just really want to thank you. Another thing I would like to mention is when this swap is all over, I am going to be changing my channel name to Blue North Crafting. I feel like that will represent the name that I use on Instagram, and in case I decide to do any selling in the future, that will be the name I use as well. I'm hoping to do a future video where I formally introduce myself, and if anybody has questions maybe about me or my some other crafting things that I've done, things like that, that I can answer those questions and also talk about a little bit about why I came up with the name for my channel as well. Okay, enough talking. Let me turn the camera around and I will show you what I made for the third package for my Secret Santa partner. Okay, I am back to my crafting table. So this video is about package number 3. I did a previous video where I showed some of the items I made for my swap partner Dolores for the first 2 packages. And so this is the part of the 3rd one, and these are some items that I used. Now, if you're curious about this photo, I know there are some of you that are Little House on the Prairie fans, just like Dolores mentioned in her questionnaire. Well, stick around to the end of the video and I will explain more about this photo. Okay, now that I have your interest peaked, let's get back to the crafting. So let's look at this one first. So Dolores had mentioned for the Christmas winter items that she really liked things having to do with the nativity scene and gingerbread houses and gingerbread men. Well, I had this simplicity pattern in my stash, and it's dated, let's see, what's the date on here? It is from 1980. And so I decided to make her some gingerbread men. I did not have any of the felt, so I thought, okay, let's look in my stash, and I did find some tan fabric and tried to come up with the gingerbread man using that. So that's what I've done here. And then I had this bag in my stash. I just decided that I would put them in there, and I ran it through my embossing folder just for fun. Give it a little texture. And let me show the gingerbread men and women. And these, I'm trying not to call this an epic fail. My husband thought I redeemed them fairly well. But so I ironed on the pattern, no problem. I added the rickrack and whatever things I had on hand. And I originally tried to sew around one of them. That did not work. It looked terrible. So I took out the stitching, and then I noticed that the back of the fabric had all that Fabri-Tac glue is showing, and that looked horrible. So what I ended up doing was adding scrapbook paper on the back. And I thought I redeemed them somewhat. I filled them, I wish I would have added a little bit more, but I filled them with a little bit of sewing tissue paper. I didn't have any fiber fill, so I just used sewing tissue, and there's barely any in there, but just you can just feel a little bit of the little crinkleness. But so I made her these 2 gingerbread men, and I didn't like how the eyes and the mouth, you couldn't really see them really good. So I kind of went around with a marker. I'm kind of up in the air on whether that was a good idea or not, but I'm hoping that Dolores likes these. So that's my gingerbread men that I made. All right, then another thing, I love counted cross stitch, and I have different counted cross stitch books in my stash, partly to maybe make some projects. I know we all say we're going to make projects, and partly to fussy cut out images and use pages in these books because they make great pages for journals. Well, one of the things that Dolores had mentioned in one of her videos where she does her glue book is that she had a hard time finding images for gazebos. And when I flipped through here, I saw this image of a gazebo. And I thought, I think I can do that pretty quickly and get it mailed to her on time. So in looking at that, I made, well, let me put this book back. I think you want to see the image more than the book. So again, I had fun with the packaging. Something about packaging, I just enjoy trying different things. But I had taken a cereal bag, cleaned it off, and rinsed it out, and ran it through my embossing folder. And I don't have anything sitting here to show the design, but it has this really cool kind of quilt looking design to it. And so here is my cross stitch of the gazebo. And I think it turned out cute, and I trimmed it down, glued the edges so they wouldn't fray, and I stitched it onto cardstock. That way, all Dolores has to do is add a little glue to her page, and she can put this right on there. And this is not going to bulk up her book at all. So it's very flat. So that was my second thing that I made her for the third mailing, Christmas winter supply items. You can see what I mean now. I'm not necessarily making all Christmas winter things here, but that's because I'm wanting to give her things that she has really been looking for. Okay, so then the last thing I made, Dolores mentioned in one of her videos when she was going through her glue book that she was always looking for things with her name on them. And she can never find things with her name, first of all, or if it is her name, not spelled correctly. And I can totally relate to that. As a kid, we would go into a touristy little souvenir shop, and there was never anything with my name on it, never ever. And so I can totally relate to that. And what I did for Dolores was I made her a charm. And I added, I'm trying to hold this up there, and I added her name. So now she has something with her name and it's spelled correctly. And the other thing she mentioned too was she really loves Cinderella. I had found this piece on a tattered gift bag at a thrift store one time, and not knowing what I'd ever do with it, I knew someday it would come in handy. And I am so glad I held on to it, because I'm hoping that Dolores really likes this piece that I added. So Dolores, if you're watching this video, I had so much fun making this, as well as the other items here. I loved getting back to my roots of sewing and doing kind of cross stitch. So this has just been a lot of fun for me. And I do have some other things that I'm sending her as well. Oh, and before I forget, let me explain that last little tidbit I had teased you about earlier in the video. So this photo here is, are you ready? Drum roll, please. This is my husband, Bill. And he was on an episode of Little House on the Prairie. He was around 11, 12 years old. And I could probably do a whole video on how that came about and all of that kind of stuff, because it's a very interesting story. But for those of you that are big Little House fans, he was on, let's see, season 4, episode 15, Whisper Country. Now, if you look up the episode on IMDb app, you won't see his name as far as an actor on the side, but what you will see, they have like about 10 images of the show. And one of the images shows Laura Ingalls standing up at her desk, and it kind of pans out to the school kids sitting down in class. If you zoom in on that photo to the right, and you zoom in, and you will see my husband. He is a redhead. And at the time, he was about 12 years old when he was on the show. You know, when I saw that Dolores was a fan of Little House on the Prairie, my wheels just started turning, and I asked my husband, I said, hey, do you care if I make a little copy of this photo and show everybody? This was just a photo taken at his house when he was even younger than when he was on the show. And he was only on one episode. He did a bunch of commercials. So for all of you Little House fans, go ahead and look it up. And when you see that bright red hair, you know that's my husband. I just want to thank Carol again. This has been fantastic, and I truly enjoyed it and just totally embraced my swap partner Dolores and all the wonderful things that she likes to do and collect. And thank you, Dolores. It was a pleasure to create for you. I hope that I have given you things that you enjoy, maybe use, and I just appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and we will see you in the next video.